everyone, I'm Carla Johnson, and creating a cohesive customer experience is one of the most powerful and cost-effective things that you can do for your business. Years ago, I had a job working in the marketing department of a telecom company. It was a well-established arm of an existing business, and because of this, we had an interesting dynamic to think about as we grew the company. When we opened offices in new markets around the country, the first thing that we did for every location was to focus on how we could deliver a cohesive customer experience. One that was true to what we believed as a bigger brand, but also brought in some of the local personality. One that showed that we cared about our customers and the community. This started with our logo. While our company logo always stayed the same, regardless of where we did business, we made sure that the logo went every place. On fleet vehicles, on the outside of buildings, office windows, signage, at community events and trade shows, all of our team's uniforms, sales and marketing collateral, business cards, invoices, stickers, promotional items, any place that you could possibly put a logo, we put our logo. And in many cases, we paired it with a unique and a very colorful graphic of the skyline of the city that we were launching. Our belief was that just by making the simple first step of creating a cohesive experience for customers through all of the visual elements, that we would accomplish several things. First is brand recognition, a heightened awareness of the brand. We actually had people tell us, "You're everywhere." And that's exactly what we wanted people to see and to feel and to think. And then a feeling of consistency by us always looking the same everywhere. This consistency was the foundation in creating a cohesive customer experience. It also meant that customers were more likely to trust us. For you to create a cohesive customer experience, here are a few things to consider. In the 1960s, psychologist Robert Zajonc found that the more people are exposed to certain things, the more they demonstrate a positive preference for them and take them as truth. This phenomenon is called the mere exposure effect. In other words, we tend to gravitate toward and really trust things that we're familiar with. And we become familiar with them by seeing them more often. In business, this confirms why it is so important to be consistent in the experiences that we deliver to customers and to repeat them over and over again. The more people see a brand and experience that brand in a consistent way, the more they will trust it. Just like with the telecom company I worked for years ago, it's important to deliver that consistent experience throughout every touch point. According to PR agency Edelman, the publishers of the Edelman Trust Barometer, if people interact with a message on only one channel, such as your sales collateral or your newsletter, their level of trust was at 32%. However, if they see the message across 6 different channels, such as your sales collateral, your newsletter, your invoice, your fleet vehicles, their trust in the message jumped to an incredible 87%. Trust is a key component to earning new business and cultivating a long-lasting customer relationship. But it doesn't happen overnight. Trust is earned. For most companies, it's earned through a consistent and a cohesive customer experience. Companies that successfully implement and deliver a cohesive experience have higher customer satisfaction rates, lower customer turnover, and see an increase in revenues anywhere from 10 to 20%. This approach also brings new ways to strengthen customer relationships. A report from Salesforce showed that 94% of consumers say that a brand's treatment of its customers influences whether or not they decide to buy from them. In today's business world, customers have higher expectations about the experiences they have with any company. They use the top performing brands as this benchmark for how they look at your business and how you show up. You may think that you're competing with other companies in your industry, but that's not exactly true. You're actually competing against companies like Starbucks and Apple, companies that people do business with every single day. With that in mind, ask yourself, how cohesive is the customer experience that my company delivers compared with the Starbucks or with any local business that has a very strong popularity with customers? Here's where you can start to create your own cohesive customer experience. First is to conduct an audit of all of the things in your business that directly touch a customer. These are things that they see, they hear, they touch, maybe even smell and taste, depending on what your business is. Anything that a customer or a potential customer could experience that represents your brand. A really obvious place to start is with your signage on the outside of your business. I know you're probably thinking, of course it starts with signage, because when you open up a business, you have to put out a sign so that people know that you're in business and where your business is. But it's really so much more than that. Take a good hard look at your sign. Does it use all of the current fonts and colors that you use on all of your other materials? Does it look fresh? Is it a representation of your business that you're proud of? Or have the colors faded over the years and it looks tired and kind of out of date? Like you've forgotten about it or that it really isn't important to you. Exterior signage is a big part of how people experience your company. Is it saying what you want it to say? And go beyond just what's on the outside of the building. Do you have a sign as people drive into the parking lot? What does it look like? As people walk up to the front door, they naturally look at the hours that you're open. Are they current? Or do you still have something temporary stuck on a window from when you may have changed your business hours a few years ago? As people walk into your office, does what they experience on the inside match what they experience on the outside? Is your signage just as fresh? If you share a space with other businesses inside the building, is your office easy to find? Oftentimes business owners or executives put the company values on the walls of their conference room. But I invite you to make them just a little more public. When technology company Motorola split into two distinct companies a few years ago, both the consumer and the business-to-business sides of the company took advantage of signage inside offices to bring a big, bold, powerful message to both customers and employees. They looked at visual elements like their logo, the color palette, fonts, and photography, and how they could help create a cohesive customer experience. Consumer-focused Motorola Mobility took advantage of a bright red color palette and talked about how they connect the world. Business-to-business Motorola Solutions used custom photography to show how they help people in critical situations, such as emergency responders. They reinforced the culture of innovation in their brand values. By using graphics to keep these ideals front and center, this not only inspired employees every day when they came to work, but customers saw what they were promised on the outside through marketing and sales messages were reinforced internally in how employees approach their work. Look at an array of things such as vehicle graphics, promotional items, direct mail, print materials, presentations in your website. Anything that you can think of that touches a customer. Even materials that you have for people after they become a customer, because they're also an important part of creating a cohesive experience. Next, spread them all out on the table, either the actual things like your business cards and invoices, or take pictures of them like your signage in your trade show materials. As you look at everything with a single view, ask yourself, do they all look like the same company? And if not, what needs to change? Also, ask yourself if you're making promises in one area of your company, such as your direct mail or your sales brochures, that another group in your company isn't able to deliver on. That's one of the biggest problems that companies have in delivering a cohesive customer experience. Now that you have the big picture in front of you, it's time to prioritize what's most important to work on. As you look at everything, what's the most important in your customer experience? Rank everything from highest to lowest importance. Because we know in the real world that you can't do everything at once. The next step is to create a budget based on the priority of your list. You may see that this will move some things around, and that's okay. Just start with the most important item and make updates in that order, working your way down the list over time. Stay committed and make sure that you focus on consistency with everything that you do. The key to creating a cohesive customer experience is always looking at the entire experience. Be thoughtful about how each interaction reinforces and serves as a proof point for how you want people to experience your company.